Friends, we talk about it all the time that we as responsible gun owners have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, and we have to function with a bar that's raised higher than what the expectations would be for the rest of the community out there, simply because the wackos on the extreme left are always looking for a reason to say that we are unsafe and irresponsible regarding firearms. Which brings me to this story from BearingArms.com. When thieves started targeting vehicles in the parking lot of the apartment complex where Shania Davis lives, she decided it would be best if she began storing her handgun inside her home. Good choice there. That was the right call to make, but the West Palm Beach, Florida resident is now facing criminal charges after she inexplicitly left her pistol, get this, in her son's lunchbox, and then forgot about it. According to police documents, a teacher at Jackson's daycare center was opening up her 2-year-old son's lunchbox when they saw a gun in it. The teacher screamed, "Gun!" And you know they really made a big deal out of this. And another teacher came to help and check if it was real. When officers arrived, they determined it was a 9mm Glock 43 handgun. No one was injured in the incident, but parents said they are stunned by what happened. "It's scary," Stephen Warrenbark said. "I mean, when I'm sending my kid to school thinking that he's going to be safe, are they? I don't know." Sounds like a real winner there. The 39-year-old mom told police that she doesn't own a purse, but that doesn't explain why she chose her son's lunchbox as a storage container for her gun. Regardless of her rationale, Davis is now facing charges of child neglect and allowing a minor to obtain a firearm. Those are serious offenses that could not only put Davis in prison, but lead to her losing custody of her child. What a sad situation this is. This is something that obviously preventable, but I think it's more in terms of a person trying to protect, I guess, herself from scrutiny of other people. And what I mean by that is we as the gun culture, we understand and realize that the people who don't understand or are not a part of the gun culture freak out when they see guns. Like this teacher who saw the gun in lunchbox probably lost it. This was a big deal to them. And it's a big deal. Don't get me wrong. It is a big deal. But they make things way worse. They like to throw that drama on there. This mother, being smart enough, I might add, to know that carjackings and car theft of belongings inside vehicles was on the rise, she thought enough to bring her pistol inside. Now, granted, that might also be because she wanted to protect her child and herself. She's likely a single mom. I know that's probably going to hurt some feelings out there, but you know I'm right. She's likely a single mother, probably living in a low-income housing project or something, like a high-rise type situation or something. Again, there's probably some hurt feelings out there, but you know that I'm right. So she's doing the right thing in my mind by trying to protect her child, claiming that she doesn't own a purse, and I believe that. You know why she's probably carrying that gun in the lunchbox? Because of all the neighbors out there who are anti-gun and who have this preconceived notion being handed out by the Biden administration and the anti-gun people that all gun people are crazy. That if you own a gun to protect yourself or your family, that you're crazy. In fact, poor Shania Davis might be considered a white supremacist, right? She very well might be. Because she's a gun owner, trying to protect herself and her family. So she probably, going into the house, did not want to openly carry the gun, which would be legal for her just transporting it into the house. Of course, Second Amendment says it's legal. I'm just saying under Florida law. She probably put it in a lunchbox to keep prying eyes from people seeing what she's carrying to and from the house, and made a very bad decision on what choice she did. Now, that she probably carried the gun inside the house and fixed the kid's lunch and was like, how do I hide this? Probably not like a guy where she could just stuff it in her pants or whatever. Threw it in the lunchbox, forgot it in the lunchbox. She probably would have left it in the vehicle, once she took out the lunchbox. She's probably done this 100 times. She's probably explained that to law enforcement. Look, I've used this lunchbox 100 times to conceal the gun, to put it in my vehicle, so my neighbors don't freak out, start calling the law on me, or somebody see the gun and try to steal it from her. So I do believe that she had good intentions. I really do. Bad decision, Big mistake putting it in the lunchbox. Even bigger mistake forgetting it there. Knowing that her child, this is the worst part. I could care less about the overreaction of the nursery school or whatever these women were that freaked out and said, gun! That's not an issue of mine about their feelings. They can have their feelings. They can do what they want with their feelings. My concern is not with the feelings with people who overreact whenever they see the sight of a gun. My biggest problem is this child could have had this gun. If this lady is carrying this gun, this Glock 43, with one in the chamber, and this child opens up his own lunch to obtain his lunch and sees a gun there, that scares the bejesus out of me, guys. That really does. That really is an accident waiting to happen. And I will tell you, at that young of an age, a lot of children, if they haven't been exposed to toy guns and things like that, many cases they've been exposed to water guns. My son at that age, and the reason why I never let my son around guns at that age was because we would play outside with water guns. First thing my son would do when he would grab a water gun would be what? I'm sure some of you guys have experienced this too. He would put the muzzle in his mouth and squirt the water into his mouth. Imagine this young man. What was the age of this child? Forget what the age was. Give me 1 second here. 2-year-old son's lunchbox. So this child cognitively had not developed enough, for, in simplest terms, to know what to do around a gun. Even if the mom was responsible enough to teach the child gun safety, this child was not cognitively able enough to understand what the mom might have been communicating. So this child's only exposure to a gun may have been just like mine was with a water gun. And that poor baby could have put that muzzle right in his mouth and pulled the trigger, thinking he was going to get water into his mouth. That's what scares me. That's really frightening to me. I mean, when you think about it, just knowing what could happen with that 2-year-old. So extremely careless, irresponsible. I think the mother likely had good intent. I do not know this mom. I don't know her background. I don't know anything. I just know that she seemed to be trying to do the right thing by protecting herself, her child, and she seemed to be doing the right thing by not leaving the gun in the car, which would be very irresponsible to do. But then she turns around and does this. So I hate it for her. I hate the fact that this mom could lose her child. This mom could go to prison. I find it unlikely that she's going to go to prison. I'm more concerned with the child being taken from her. I think that's the more likely event. I hope somebody will work with her if they determine that she was trying to do the right thing and this is just a really stupid decision that she made, that somebody will try to work that into the court system and as a character witness or whatever, to try to show that this lady was trying to do some and a lot of right things out there, and she just made one really silly choice along the way, and this is what happened. Maybe somebody in the community can, I don't know, get her a good gun case. They make those concealed carry purses for women. Might be a good way for her to carry it. Maybe they just get her some kind of a bag or something. I would be willing to do that. My friends over at Mission First Tactical, I think, would be more than willing for us to make a donation to her, to give her something to carry to and from the car in order to keep that gun out of people's sight, if that's the fear that she had. You have to admit, that's likely what her fear is. I know most of you guys out there are probably a lot like me. I've been living in the same house for 20 years. I go to and from my vehicle with a gun. Doesn't matter what, I can be bouncing it on my head and my neighbors are not going to bat an eye at that. I live in the deep south, not a big deal. My neighbors know me, not a big deal. Nobody's going to freak out. Nobody's going to call the police because I saw somebody brandishing a gun walking into this house. So we are fortunate enough in many of our cases where we don't have these types of issues. So I don't worry about somebody seeing what I'm carrying to and from my vehicle in terms of a firearm. If she was worried about that, then maybe we can give her the tools. Again, I'm willing to do that. I'll buy the bag for her. If she chooses a bag that's not a Louis Vuitton or some of these expensive designer bags, I'll buy the lady one. I'm more concerned with the child at this point. Thank God that nothing happened to that child, that 2-year-old. I'm grateful that the child is not the one who discovered the gun in there. in the lunchbox, and I hope that something happens if this is a good person. Again, I do believe in karma, or whatever you want to call it. If this is a bad person, she's probably going to get what she's got coming to her. But if she is a good person and made a really stupid decision at one point during her course of making right decisions, I hope that it's righted and she's able to get back on track, and this doesn't derail her life and put her child, more than likely, around or at least down a really bad road that you know how that ends up. I hope this ends in a good way for everybody. I really do hope it does. I'm so grateful that nothing bad happened as far as anybody getting hurt or injured as a result of this gun in this lunchbox.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's over!